high-flying stunts on a huge sound stage, gigantic set pieces, and an enormous blue hand all add up to one thing: an attempt to create the most realistic tiny characters ever seen on film for the magical children's story, The Indian in the Cupboard. But it takes a special kind of magic to make 3-inch tall characters interact convincingly in a normal-sized environment. It takes the inspired creativity of visual effects supervisor Eric Brevig of Industrial Light and Magic.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do.
Coming up, we'll see how the challenge of creating believable tiny characters has intrigued filmmakers since the earliest days of cinema, and how reducing a big star like Lily Tomlin to minute proportions created the incredible Shrinking Woman. And we'll see how today's effects wizards are bringing The Indian in the Cupboard to life with a big dose of movie magic. On his birthday, a young boy named Omri receives a gift of a small plastic Indian. His entire life changes when the toy figure actually comes to life. Thus begins one of the most popular children's novels ever written, The Indian in the Cupboard by Lynn Reed Banks.
It's very exciting to know that all these people are at work doing what they do so brilliantly, because I told a story to my kid 14 years ago.
For director Frank Oz, whose credits include The Muppets Take Manhattan and The Little Shop of Horrors, the believability of the story's tiny characters is key to the movie's success.
Well, I'm not trying to make a special effects movie out of 3-inch characters and big giants. I'm just telling a story. It's about relationships, and we're having to deal with 3-inch characters, but we're not emphasizing how small they are.
Together.
Okay, very quiet.
This is a technical rehearsal.
And action.
I know a bit, you know, read up as a boy.
Filming takes place on sound stages at Sony Studios in Culver City, California. As visual effects supervisor and second unit director, Eric Brevig is responsible for creating the most realistic tiny characters ever seen on film.
What we're trying to do is to attempt to photograph characters that are 3 inches tall in a way that will make them look photographically real. And this is something that has never successfully been done before.
Native American actor Lightfoot plays the role of a tiny Iroquois named Little Bear. Historically accurate details, including special earlobes fashioned from dental plastic, add to the realism. But to create the illusion of tiny characters on screen, the filmmakers utilize several different techniques. Oversized props are used when a small character must directly interact with a normal-sized object, as when Little Bear makes a shelter from an empty Lego box. But many scenes require a wide shot of Omri's bedroom. For these, the filmmakers first photograph a background shot called a plate of the bedroom set. The plate will be used in a process called blue screen traveling mats, in which the actors are filmed against a blue background. Later, in post-production, the blue is replaced with the plate shot of the bedroom. On-stage video monitors allow the filmmakers to see how well the plate and blue screen shots will line up. One very difficult blue screen shot involves another toy character brought to life, an army medic named Tommy. Omri must carry Tommy in the palm of his hand and gently place him in a small seed tray where the injured Little Bear awaits treatment. The plate for this shot includes Omri's bedroom, the seed tray, and Omri's hand. Since this is a blue screen shot, everything that will be replaced by the plate must be blue, including Omri's hand. To accomplish this illusion, the effects team has created an enormous blue hand.
So resetting, another rehearsal.
Actor Steve Coogan, who plays Tommy, must slide off the giant prop as if it were a real hand. Constructed from steel and covered in blue padding, the prop was built to be 24 times larger than a normal hand, in order to make Steve appear only 3 inches tall when he is on it.
Okay, Steve, action, and remember, disoriented.
Whoa, whoa. Come on. Right, well, I'm your man then.
And cut. It's good.
The scale of 24:1 between the normal environment and tiny characters is a key element of nearly every special effects shot in the film. This scale was determined by the fact that the actors are approximately 6 feet tall. To appear 3 inches tall on screen, their size must be reduced 24 times.
Blue hand thumb is there.
Scale is also a consideration in how operators move the giant hand.
We'll just start on your first mark and tilt and push in simultaneously. See how fast we can do that.
When the actor who plays Omri moved his hand toward the empty seed tray, it took 1 second to move 6 inches. Because the 24:1 scale applies to velocity and distance as well as size, the 500-pound blue hand must move 12 feet in the same 1 second and safely deposit Steve onto the set.
And action, Steve. In the past, this would have been done with a big plastic hand, and we know how those look. They look like big plastic hands. Everybody knows what these characters should look like, and if there's anything suspicious about them, we've failed. So the tolerance for error in what we're doing is 0.
The 24:1 scale also influences where Eric's director of photography, Charles Schumann, places his camera. When filming plate shots in the bedroom, he shoots from a short distance away to maintain a normal scale. However, when shooting the actors on the blue screen set, Charles shoots from 24 times the distance of the plate shots, a full 72 feet away. The distance reduces the size of the actors on film and creates a realistic perspective for the audience.
When you look at something small, the perspective that you have on it shows you very little dimension. When you take a picture of a toy, you find that only the toy is in focus, everything else is usually out of focus. What we're trying to do is to recreate that with full-size actors.
Oh, let me have a look.
Perhaps the biggest challenge for Eric and the ILM team is maintaining proper scale throughout a long moving shot of Little Bear as he builds his living quarters in Omri's bedroom. For the blue screen shot, the camera starts its move more than 150 feet away and comes to a stop within 8 feet of the actor. The challenge is in replicating the long camera move during the background plate shot, which is filmed on the normal-sized bedroom set. For this, the entire camera move is reduced to only 8 feet, but it must match the exact course of the 150-foot blue screen move. If it veers off by even a fraction of an inch, the shot fails. To accomplish this, every frame of the blue screen move was analyzed at ILM. Next, a computer program was designed which moved a motion control camera through the bedroom set, matching every frame of the blue screen shot. When the blue screen and plate shots are composited together, the 2 camera moves match flawlessly. Achieving this effect with 2 shots so drastically different in scale during such a long move is a groundbreaking achievement for the ILM team. With the right combination of special effects and old-fashioned storytelling, Frank Oz and Eric Brevig are turning a new page on The Indian in the Cupboard, while also creating a new cinematic standard for tiny characters.
How? How?
The challenge of creating tiny characters has long sparked the imagination and tested the skills of filmmakers. As early as 1909, director J. Stuart Blackton was delighting and amazing audiences with Princess Nicotine. He used forced perspective, an in-camera effect where both characters are photographed at the same time. Blackton positioned the actor next to a normal-sized table, while the actress danced on a platform far behind but perfectly aligned with the table. A new generation of filmmakers took the challenge when special effects artists Gordon Jennings and Farico Edouard broke new ground in the 1940 thriller Dr. Cyclops. Jennings and Edouard effectively utilized forced perspective and oversized sets in what is still considered one of the best examples of cinematic tiny characters. Today, special effects artists study the old films for new ideas. As visual effects art director for The Indian in the Cupboard, Mark Moore is a member of the industrial light and magic team that planned the effects long before shooting.
When we first started talking about this project, I went and viewed Dr. Cyclops again. Even though it's an early film, it's got some very successful approaches to dealing with a small character. Actually, there's a scene where Dr. Cyclops has taken one of the main characters and dropped them down on the desk and moved his hand away. And the hand was obviously a prop, but it moved in such a way that it was gentle enough and off camera soon enough that it worked.
The ILM team also reviewed Eric Brevig's work in Hook. Eric supervised the creation of Tinkerbell, played by Julia Roberts.
The 3-inch characters in The Indian in the Cupboard are more difficult than Tinkerbell was in Hook because they're so much smaller.
Eric's special effects work on the science fiction thriller Total Recall earned him an Academy Award. But long before the Oscar, Eric Brevig was absorbed in the world of photographic illusions.
When I was a small kid, I was probably 10 or 11, I became interested in special effects and read everything I could about the subject and would take little still photos, trying different special effects techniques.
His photo essay, My Dog Tiny, not only earned him an A+ in his 10th grade photography class, it laid the foundation of his future. As a UCLA film student, Eric paid tribute to stop-motion animation pioneer Ray Harryhausen with Monster Island, a movie short featuring a rollicking band of pirates and a giant orange monster.
Have we sent for a horse?
Today, Eric is working on a pivotal scene for The Indian in the Cupboard. In it, a toy cowboy named Boone and his horse are brought to life when placed inside the magical cupboard.
The scene we're about to shoot here is the one in which Boone on the horse, having just come to life, comes bursting out of the cupboard, out of control. The horse bucks, runs around in circles over here, and then eventually starts running towards the edge of the desk. The horse gets to the edge of the desk, puts on the brakes, and sends Boone flying off through space. We have several shots of him falling, until Omri the boy catches him at the last minute.
To accomplish this illusion, Eric utilizes another blue screen background.
Theoretically, this will be the edge of the desk.
The stage represents the desktop and was built on the roof of the filmmaker's on-stage offices. The roof was high enough to match the camera angle of the plate shot of Omri's bedroom, and with some reinforcement, strong enough to support the actor and horse. For the blue screen shot, director of photography Charles Schumann shoots from a low angle. The camera is more than 70 feet away, producing the correct scale.
Arms out in front of you, pull your feet up to your butt.
Careful planning is needed, not only to make the effect work, but to ensure the safety of stuntman Clifford Happy. To perform the scene, he must be propelled high above the stage.
If he just flies horizontally, it'll look like a Superman exit, which...
Eric and stunt coordinator Dennis Scott rehearse the action to determine the proper trajectory by propelling Cliff off a ladder.
And action.
That was a little faster. Did you like that better?
Yeah.
The propulsion is the result of a powerful burst of compressed air shot through a hydraulic ratchet. A cable connected to a harness hidden beneath Clifford's shirt is attached to the ratchet and yanks him off the horse. Clifford will ride a trained movie animal named Boss. Horse trainer Gordon Spencer prepared Boss for his part.
We've been rehearsing at the barn. I have my assistant ride him, and I stop him with a whoa, raise the whip, and he stops.
Eric tries to determine how high and how far a small person would fly if bucked off a tiny horse. He then shoots variations of that estimate.
And action!
To achieve the desired action, Clifford must survive several more high-powered catapults before the day is done.
Because we don't want to see the hat falling with him, we're going to need the hat to come off just as he's leaving the horse. So you may want to try your idea of having the monofilament static line.
Tethered back at a given distance.
Every detail is essential to making these unreal characters believable. Even the manner in which Boone's hat flutters to the ground is carefully orchestrated, with the aid of nearly invisible monofilament.
Ready, action!
Ouch, Clifford. Ouch. Are you okay?
Yeah. Science, I guess, huh?
The stunt has been successfully performed with a variety of trajectories, providing the filmmakers with several options. Eric will soon return to ILM, where the final magical touches will be put on the Indian in the cupboard. Creating realistic tiny characters is a challenge for any special effects artist. But when the tiny character is a big star like Lily Tomlin, filmmakers face a potential problem. Audiences could have difficulty accepting a well-known actor being doll-like in size. When Bruce Logan served as director of photography and special photographic effects for the 1981 film The Incredible Shrinking Woman, he used Tomlin's star power to his advantage.
I think it made it much easier because Lily really invested herself in the part. She was really able to bring a reality to this absurd situation that she was in.
Besides Tomlin's convincing performance, Bruce also relied on oversized props and projection screens of either Tomlin or the normal-sized characters to pull off the illusion of the rapidly shrinking housewife. In a scene where Tomlin is imprisoned in a laboratory animal cage, some shots of her are actually being projected onto a small movie screen placed on the laboratory table. For other shots, she is filmed facing characters that are projected onto an enormous screen in front of her.
You're Pat Kramer's clone, the real...
The projection techniques used by Bruce Logan and Lily Tomlin's comedic skills made The Incredible Shrinking Woman a successful addition to the cinematic family of tiny characters. Today, Eric Brevig is using blue screen effects to create several tiny characters for the children's fantasy film The Indian in the Cupboard.
Kind of stay close and have your booties handy, okay?
Go ahead.
Achieving the best results with blue screen requires a level of care nearly as exacting as that taken in an operating room.
But since this shot is really about them rising, I'm gonna...
The surface must be kept as genuinely blue as possible. Dirt, smudges, or even dust on the blue screen would put the quality of the final shot at risk. Precision is also necessary when applying blue screen material to a set, as seams or cracks may deteriorate the effect as well. The floor surface of this blue screen seed tray was sculpted out of styrofoam to avoid seams, and to match the topography of the real seed tray used in normal-size shots. While blue screen is the main effects technique being employed to create these tiny characters, Eric also uses oversized props and set pieces. But large objects are used sparingly because they pose potential problems.
Cut.
Frequently, the oversized set pieces are identifiable to the audience as not being close-ups of small things, but in fact being big props. The trick is to never show the audience the same view of that oversized prop as you do the real thing. You never frame two shots that look similar. That way, the audience has the least amount of objective comparison.
It will take a careful blending of techniques to keep the audience guessing about what's real and what's not, and believing in tiny characters.
Okay, we've made a lot of improvements. You can see that the hat no longer looks like it's flying way back. Gordon the horse wrangler is it's been removed from the shot.
Eric Brevig is back with his team at Industrial Light and Magic after 6 months of shooting.
Okay, what should I be looking at in this shot?
Last night we increased the motion blur from about the top of the arc down to the last 7 frames. Motion blur is about twice what it was before.
Okay, let's look at that frame by frame.
Replacing the blue areas with plate imagery is just one step in the compositing process. Computer graphics supervisor Michael Conti altered the trajectory and blurred the cowboy during his long fall off the horse. Computer graphics supervisor Stephen Rosenbaum has spent months overseeing the compositing of several shots from The Indian in the Cupboard, including the giant hand.
One of the biggest problems is taking a full-size person and scaling them down to this minute scale and then having them interact with the kids. We have some great software that allows us to reposition characters and scale characters and add perspective to their motions that has made the show much more feasible now as opposed to a couple of years ago.
Hey Mark, what have we got?
Well, let's see.
With more than 70 members, the Indian in the Cupboard team works on several scenes at once, keeping Eric moving between workstations.
That's pretty good. The main thing is going to be when he shoots the arrow, we want it to come right over his camera right shoulder.
It'd be nice. I'll go ahead and paint out the real arrow that's in there, and we'll add our own in.
Yeah.
Digital painting and erasing are important techniques for perfecting the tiny character's actions, as in this shootout between Boone and Little Bear. Digital compositor Mark Holmes can erase unwanted portions of a shot, leaving the rest of the image intact. The erased portion can then be replaced with a new computer-generated image. The intricate frame-by-frame compositing of the Indian in the Cupboard will continue the industrial light and magic tradition of creating some of the most memorable moments in film. And with the opening of that magic cupboard, Eric Brevig will follow in the footsteps of the special effects wizards who have helped to tell larger-than-life stories about very tiny characters.
You are so